Everyone, I've got a really fun treat for you today. I'm going to be making yogurt in my crock pot. This is a small crock pot, probably about 3 quarts, but you can use any size really. This is just, I have 2 crock pots and this is the smaller one. And this is a really old one. It has the removable crock with a glass lid. That tells you how old it is. And it works great. And this is the easiest way that I have ever found to make yogurt. I've made yogurt several different ways, and this is absolutely my favorite. It produces the most consistent results, and it really is the simplest. So what you do, you start with a ½ gallon of milk. I'm using whole milk. It's easier. Yogurt turns out better when you use whole milk, especially at the beginning, and I'm still trying to get the proportions correct for the 2% and 1% milks. So because I know this works, this proportion works well, I'm going to use this one. But later on, once I tweak everything, I may do an update video to show you how to make yogurt with a lower fat milk. This yogurt turns out delicious. It's creamy. It's good for you. I don't mind having the extra fat in it. It's good for you. So that's an entire ½ gallon of milk going into my crock pot, and then I have a cup of dry instant milk. And I use this for 2 reasons. First, I want to boost the protein content, and the powdered milk will do that. And then also, this helps it set up a little bit better later on. So I'm just going to stir this in until it's dissolved. And that's really all you do for the first step as far as the ingredients go. You just combine the milk with the powdered milk. And then I also have my yogurt starter sitting out here. I just took it out of the fridge along with the milk. The milk is cold. This is plain Greek yogurt that I have purchased. You need to have a starter to make yogurt. So you have to have yogurt to make yogurt. I usually buy my starter. You can save some of your homemade yogurt to use as a starter for your next batch, but you have to keep in mind that each time you use it, it gets a little weaker and gets a little weaker and gets a little weaker, and eventually it will not produce good results. So you have to buy new starter about every third or fourth time. This is a brand that I get at Aldi. It's really good. I like the taste of it. It's inexpensive for the size container that it is. It's a 32 ounce, so it's an entire quart of yogurt, and it lasts a long time. So usually I use about 3. I like to put a lot of yogurt in my, a lot of starter yogurt in my yogurt. So I usually get 3 batches of yogurt out of 1. And I'm probably going to save some this time and see how that works next time. I've done that in the past in other methods of making yogurt. I've not done it with the crock pot method. So back to this, the powdered milk is incorporated fully in the whole milk. So I'm just going to put the lid on, put it in my the crock pot base, and turn it on to low for 2.5 hours. And that's going to bring it up to the correct temperature. During those 2.5 hours, I'm going to leave this yogurt sitting out because I want it to get to room temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back when 2.5 hours have passed and I'm ready for the next step. Okay, I'm back. It has been 2.5 hours, and now the next step of making the yogurt is really very complicated. I hope you have a pen and piece of paper so you can write this down, because I don't want you to forget all the steps. But here we go. Here's what you do. Turn the crock pot off. And that's all you do, and you let it sit for another 3 hours. So I will be back in 3 hours. And by the way, I am putting the yogurt that I had sitting out getting to room temperature, I'm putting that back in the fridge because I actually don't need it at this step. I will need it in the next 3 hours. So I will see you in 3 hours. Hey everyone, I'm back. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to talk really softly because Ron is asleep. He hasn't been feeling well, and he's asleep on the couch, so I don't want to wake him up. I've got my yogurt, or my warm milk. I left the lid on the crock pot and just unplugged it and let it sit for 3 hours. It's still warm to the touch. It's not hot. You can see it's very comfortable for me to put my hand on it. It is nice and warm though. I've got it sitting on a big old towel, big thick towel, and I have my starter yogurt here, and this is about 1/3 of the container, and it was a 32-ounce container. What I did is I took the yogurt out of the fridge about an hour ago because I wanted it to get room temperature. Okay, so now I'm going to take the lid off of the warm milk, and it's really nice and warm. And I've got a ladle, and I'm going to scoop out some of the warm milk. I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and mixed up well. I'm going to scoop out some of the warm milk, and normally I would do this in a bowl, but since I'm going to use the rest of the container of this yogurt, I'm just going to mix it all up in the container so that I don't have to wash another bowl. So I'll put about 3 ladles of the warm milk in the yogurt container, and now I'm just going to whisk it up and incorporate the milk and the yogurt. I'm going to try to get all of it off the sides here. You know me, I hate to waste anything. Okay, then after it's all incorporated, then I just pour that back into the warm milk, and it looks like I got most of it. I may take another couple of scoops of this and try to get the rest of this out, and then just stir it back in to the warm milk. Okay, I'll do a couple more scoops. Stir. Try to get all of it, and then pour it all back in. Okay. Then I'm going to just make sure everything is mixed together, and put the lid back on. And then I'm going to take the towel, and I'm going to try to do this with one hand. I'm going to wrap the towel up around the pot. Oh, sorry about that. And then I'm going to put another towel on the top. I tell you what, I can't do this with one hand, so let me do this. I've got a couple of big thick towels here. I'm going to just wrap the crock pot up, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, I used about 3 different towels, and I just have this big massive blob of towel, sitting here on the table. And I'm going to let it sit overnight, just like this. I'm going to put it back over on the counter, out of the way, where the crock pot was, just in case somebody gets up in the middle of the night and wants to know what's in the big blob here, which has happened at my house before. So I'm going to put it back over on the counter, and I will see you in the morning when we'll have yogurt. Okay, I am back. It's the next day, and I have moved the crock pot, still covered with the towels, over to the table, and I'm going to uncover it, and we'll see what we have here. It says to let it sit. The recipe that I use says to let it sit overnight. I usually let it sit for several hours. After that, it's a little afternoon here, so it's been sitting for about 12 hours now. And the longer it sits, the more tangy that it's going to get. So, take the lid off, and we have a thin yogurt. Now I'm going to use some of this now in some pancakes that we're making for brunch, but I will come back later and show you how I strain it to make it a thick Greek yogurt. So you see how it's thickened up nicely, and it tastes delicious. And I'm going to use some of it right now, and I'll be back with the, oh, it's thicker on the bottom too. I'll be back shortly to show you how to strain it. Okay, I am back, and I'm going to show you how to strain the yogurt now. I have a bowl and a colander sitting inside it, and then I'm going to take coffee filters, and it's easier, they lay a little bit better if you turn them inside out, and you just line the inside of the colander with the coffee filters. I'm going to do that because I can't do it with one hand, and I will bring you right back. I've lined the inside of my colander with coffee filters. It took, for this bowl, 6 filters, and I've made sure that all of the holes are covered by at least one layer of coffee filter. It doesn't have to be double layered. I just overlapped them just to make sure that everything was covered. Now I'm going to pour the room temperature yogurt into the colander, and I'm going to do that off camera because I know I won't be able to do it with one hand. So I will bring you right back. Okay, I have just poured all of the yogurt into the bowl and made sure that everything is covered up. All the holes are covered up. And now I'm just going to let the yogurt strain. Now what I mean by that is this yogurt is really thin, watery. What it's going to do, it's going to sit in this, and I'm going to try to lift it up and so that you can see, and then the whey is going to come out of the bottom. I think you can see it's already started to happen. I'm going to put that back down because I don't want to spill it. I usually just find a place in the fridge, cover it with another couple of coffee filters, and just set it in the fridge overnight. You can do that, and then tomorrow it should be, it'll take a while to strain. I might have to stir it a couple of times and pull the thickened yogurt from the bottom of the coffee filters and let the looser yogurt get to the bottom so everything will strain. Or you can cover this with coffee filters or paper towels. I like coffee filters, they don't stick as much. And then you can put some sort of weight on top of it, and it will press down and strain a little bit faster. A coffee can, a clean coffee can. This is the canister that I use to store my coffee filters in. This is the perfect amount of weight, and this is just coffee filters in this can. So it's not really heavy. You don't need a real heavy weight, just something to kind of press down on the yogurt. You don't need to press it at all if you don't want to. It just takes a little bit longer. What I'm going to do, since it's still middle of the afternoon, is I'm just going to let this strain at room temperature on the counter, and then later on this evening after dinner I will cover it up and stick it in the fridge, and if I feel like I need a weight on it, I will do that. And do not throw away the yellowish liquid that comes out of the bottom of here. Maybe you can see, yeah, you can see it dripping. There we go. I keep an eye on it, and every once in a while, if it looks like it's getting up to the top or to the bottom portion of the colander, I'll strain that off and put it in a jar and put it in the refrigerator. But don't throw that away. That is liquid whey, and I'm sure you've heard some of the health benefits of whey powder, whey protein. You may have seen supplements like that at the grocery store or at a health food store. It is full of protein. It's very good for you. It doesn't taste that great. I would not drink it straight, and it looks a little like lemonade, so you'll have to label it in your fridge or your kids will think it's lemonade. But I just put it in a jar, and then when I'm making smoothies and I need a liquid to thin those smoothies out, I'll use the whey. When I'm making bread and I need water, I'll use the whey instead of the bread. Instead of the water in the bread. If you're steaming vegetables, you can use whey instead of water. It's really, really handy to have, and it adds a lot of protein to your food. So if you are on a high protein diet, whey is really, really good to have. So don't throw away your whey. Well, I will bring you back when my yogurt is completely strained and it's at the thickness that I want. And I don't, you can make yogurt cheese with it, and that is pressing out the majority of the whey and make something similar to the consistency of a cream cheese. That is delicious. You can mix it with herbs and salt and pepper, and it's delicious on crackers. I don't usually do that unless I'm having a party or need an appetizer or something, although I have done it. I usually just strain it enough to make it like a Greek yogurt, similar to the consistency of the starter yogurt that you saw earlier in this video. About the consistency of sour cream is what I like. Well, I will bring you back when that gets to that consistency. And don't forget, every once in a while you may have to take a spoon and just kind of disturb everything. Run it around the bottom of the strainer to get, you can see it kind of perks up a little bit when you do that. And what that's doing is as the yogurt, or as it strains, the thicker yogurt kind of sticks to the bottom, and you have to kind of move the thicker yogurt out of the way so the thinner yogurt can get to the colander holes. Okay, well, I will bring you back when it's the consistency that I want. Okay, everyone, I have strained my yogurt overnight and most of the next day. It really is a long process to get it to the consistency where I like it. Sometimes if you like it a little bit thinner, you can strain it a little bit less. If you're home all day, you don't have to refrigerate it, and it will strain a little bit faster. But this is about the consistency that I like it. You can see it's still a little bit runny, but it's still pretty thick, and it's going to be thicker down here closer to the papers, the filters. What I'll do now is just scoop this out into a bowl, and then I will pick these up and squeeze all of the thicker yogurt out of the off the papers. And here is the whey that I strained off of that. That's almost a quart jar of whey. And as I said earlier, I like to use this as a liquid in either smoothies or when making bread. You can use it to make pasta and rice, in soups. It's full of protein. There are lots of different websites that tell you all the different things that you can do with whey, and I like to just hang on to it and use it for whatever I'm doing. Well, I'm going to finish this up and put this in the fridge in a bowl just for me because I love it. And I have some strawberries, and I will probably have some of this with some strawberries and a little bit of honey drizzled over it for my dessert tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Fly high, Pooh Bear. I wanted to do a quick addendum to my yogurt video. I wanted you to see the finished product and to see how much it made. This is the yogurt after it's been strained and poured out from the coffee filters. Those are the remnants of the coffee filters. This container holds 1.75 quarts. So this is how much yogurt I got, plus almost a quart of whey. And don't forget, I used some of the yogurt, probably about maybe 2 cups of it, when I was making pancakes yesterday. I always like to put a little yogurt or sour cream in my pancakes, and so I used yogurt since I had it ready, and that was before I strained it, so it was probably about a cup of strained. So you can see how much yogurt you'll get with a ½ gallon of milk. This, I will probably be the majority, or eat the majority of this. I've got one kid who likes yogurt, but the others really don't. So this will last me about 10 days. And then I'll have the whey for smoothies and for bread. So I just wanted you to see how much it made, and I've already tasted it. It is delicious. Thank you so much for watching. Fly high, Pooh Bear.